Good evening and welcome to Big Future Live. We have an exciting event in store for you tonight. Tonight, we're talking all about college essays and how to make yours great. So get those questions ready and welcome to Big Future Live.
Everybody starts somewhere, and life after high school is your first step to what comes next. So while everyone's future may look different, and there are tons of options to choose from, just remember it's getting started that matters. And Big Future is here to help you take the first step. You can check out careers you're interested in, find colleges based on what's important to you, and even discover ways to pay for it all. So when you're ready to get started, Big Future has the information you need to make the right decision for you. Because when life feels uncertain, your future doesn't have to. Let's begin exploring. Your future, your way.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Greg Rafal. I use he, him pronouns, and I work here on the Big Future team. I'm going to be your host for this evening, and I'm so excited to welcome you to this exciting event in partnership with Khan Academy, How to Write a Great College Essay. First off, I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. We know you have schoolwork, you have clubs, you have sports, you have other extracurriculars. We know you're busy, but we're decided that you made time to spend with us tonight to talk about college essays. For those of you who don't know, Big Future Live is a series of virtual community events where you're going to connect with college representatives, with career experts, and with your peers to help you plan for life after high school. So Big Future Live was created so that you can get your questions answered and plan your future your way. So like all Big Future Live events, tonight you're not going to sit through a long presentation. We don't have too many PowerPoint slides to go over with you. This is really a virtual community powered by students, parents, educators, and of course, all of your questions. And I'm pumped because tonight we have an all-star panel. We have some college reps, we have our friends at Khan Academy who are all ready to tell you about writing college essays and how to make yours great. We only have 45 minutes tonight, and I already see there are a lot of you have joined our event. This is great. We have a lot of folks who have joined, which means we're gonna have a ton of questions. So let's get right into it and meet our guests for today. Awesome. So I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves to our audience of parents and caring adults, and tell us three things: your name, what you do and where you work, and why did you want to be a part of tonight's event. And Jillian, you're first on my screen. I'm going to start with you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jillian Ritter. I am an Associate Director of Admission at Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. And tonight I wanted to be a part of the event because I love reading essays and I love how different they can be. And I love talking about, all the different ways that the essay can impact your application.
Thanks, Jillian. That's great. Jess, over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jess Hendel. I am a content creator at Khan Academy and subject matter expert for all of our AI-powered essay activities. And I'm here because I have coached many applicants through the process of writing an admissions essay. And I think it's so fun. I think it's the most fun part of applying to college. And I love helping students kind of find the joy in it.
Finding the joy in it. That's great. We definitely want to bring that out in tonight's conversation. Nate, what about you?
Yeah, well, my name's Nate Maneter. I'm a Director of Admission at Gonzaga University up here in Spokane, Washington. And yeah, applying to college should be fun. Making a choice of where you're going to college should be fun. This is a really exciting decision. And so what I hope to do is just kind of help y'all realize it's not quite as scary as some of us approach it as, and that we can make a really informed college decision. The application process can be smooth and we don't have to be super afraid of it all. So excited to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate. And just like the college application process, this event is going to be fun as well. Becky, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey everyone, my name is Becky Chasen. I'm an assistant dean of admission at the University of Southern California. And I am here tonight, I think, to echo what some of our colleagues said, which is to say, I think if you want it to be, this process can help you really sort of think about what you want in a college and what might be right for you and the things about yourself that certainly will inform this choice. So I hope we can talk more about kind of ways to use the application and the writing process as a means of actually helping you with your search.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. Really looking forward to some of your answers and all of your insights you're going to share. And we're going to have some fun tonight. Tonight is all about getting those questions answered, of course. But before we get there, I want to hear from our audience a little bit. You know, we could go on, but we want to know what you're most interested in learning about today. So you're going to see a quick poll pop up on your screen and tell us, what are you most interested in learning about today? Do you want to know why your college essay matters? Are you really looking for help on brainstorming those essay topics? Or are you generally just looking for tips to make your essay great? So go ahead, take a few moments to make your selection on that poll. While you're doing that, let's talk about how tonight is going to work. As you can see on your screen below where you see me and all of our lovely panelists, you're going to see a ask a question box on the bottom of your screen right about here, where you can type in your questions. We're all about answering your questions tonight, so please type in those questions. We'll get to as many as we can. As I mentioned at the beginning of the event, we have a lot of folks who are joined tonight. So we're going to get to as many of those questions as you can. We have a whole team of folks on the back end who are looking at those questions, monitoring them, categorizing them to help us get to as many of those questions as possible. Also, during tonight's event, if you miss anything, if you have to walk away from your phone or from your computer for a moment, don't worry. The recording will be available later on Big Future at bigfuture.org/live. So let's see what everyone wants to learn about tonight. So it looks like, well, you guys want to know about everything, which is great. But most of you are really looking for tips to make your essay great. About 67% of you want like actionable tips to make that essay great. And you're in the right place because I think we can do that, right, folks? Awesome. Well, to get us started tonight, before we jump into your questions, I'm actually going to hand it over to Jess from Khan Academy, who's going to give us some tips on how you can start brainstorming for your college essay to get you to start brainstorming for questions that you're going to give us tonight. So Jess, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome.
And we'll just jump into our
Okay, excellent. Okay, so 3 questions to help you brainstorm. So one of the things that students ask me a lot or get nervous about is they're like, oh, what if I don't have an incredible life story? What am I supposed to write about? And so I love to tell students, you know, the Common App essay, especially, it doesn't have to be about something really big. You know, you're 17. They don't expect you to have published the next great American novel or cured cancer or anything. They understand that you're a kid. And oftentimes the essays that really stand out are ones that are about what you might think of as a little thing. So the first brainstorming question is, the little things that we do for fun reveal so much about who we are. So do you have any hobbies or interests or activities that you pursue outside of school? If so, what do you love about it? It might make an especially good topic if it's something unexpected or unusual. So think drawing, comics, freestyle rapping, calligraphy, magic tricks, scrapbooking, etc. And to the next slide. Whoops. Okay. So how has this interest or activity impacted your life? Why is it meaningful to you? What life lessons has it taught you? And this is to get you thinking about what you might have learned from this activity, even if it feels like, oh, I haven't learned anything from it. If it's something that's important to you or that's a big part of your personality, you'd be surprised at how much you actually have learned when you take a moment to really think about it. And then finally, is there a problem you've solved or would like to solve? It could be an ethical problem, an intellectual challenge, or something that's important to your community. So this question is more of getting back to the bigger topics that you could write about for your Common App essay. And if there is something that comes to mind, then what is it? Why is it important to you? And how has it shaped who you are and who you want to become? So those are our 3 brainstorming questions, and that leads nicely into a discussion of some of our Khanmigo offerings. Khanmigo is Khan Academy's AI-powered super tutor. And these questions and a whole bunch more are in our brainstorming activity that you can do with Khanmigo. So Khanmigo can assist in ideas for brainstorming a topic for a Common App essay, and also kind of help you think about the beginning of how you might want to structure that essay and some themes that you might be able to explore, some lessons that you might be able to pull out of there. But it won't do any of the writing for you. So it's a great brainstorming pal to get you with a jumping off point that you can then go and use to build out your college essay. And we also have an activity for checking for problems in an admissions essay. So once you have that draft, you can come back in and Khanmigo can provide feedback on the essay to make sure you're not making any of the kind of common mistakes that admissions officers tend to see in tone and content, and just make sure you're all good there. We also have 2 activities for beyond college admissions essays. We have Coach My Academic and Career Growth, where Khanmigo can provide support and guidance in academic planning and career planning. And then also an activity for navigating college admissions and financial aid, where Khanmigo can answer questions and offer insights into the college admissions process and provide some tips and tricks on all aspects of your application, including financial aid and
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jess. Super helpful to get us started. And I think a main takeaway from the brainstorming questions is that it takes some reflection, right? It takes some reflection on what is really important to you and the impact that you want to make and what you want the reader to hear. So I think that's good to get us started. And we have a lot of questions that are coming in already. So let's go ahead and jump on in. Our first question, actually, I'm going to combine 2 questions here. Colin wants to know exactly how important is a college essay? And Artemis wants to know who looks at the college essays. So Nate, I'm going to pass it to you to respond to those.
Yeah, this is a great question. And it probably depends at a lot of different colleges, but let me speak to the importance first. And what in most parts of your college application, they are other people's evaluations of you. It is a test score, which is a test score company's evaluation of you. It is your grades and your transcript, someone else's evaluation of how you participated in that. In many ways, your essay is the only chance that you get to have your voice in this application, where you get to advocate for yourself, where you get to tell others who you are and what is important to you. So to me, that is the important part of the essay, is for schools like Gonzaga and many other schools out there that really care about getting to know you through the process. Your essay is that primary mode that you get to do that. Who reads it? The person who's reading your application is going to read your college essay. I think Gonzaga has a similar model to many others, where we have one person read your application. That's your admission representative who works in your geographic territory. And then a committee actually makes the decisions on students being admitted or not admitted. And someone in that committee will also read that college essay. So at Gonzaga, I can tell you at least 2 people read that college essay, and it's an important part of us getting to know you.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate. That's clear on who's on the other end, so folks can start to envision like who's actually going to be sitting there reading that. Our next question is going to go to you, Becky, and this question is from Rua. Rua wants to know, should you always be dramatic in your college essay?
It's a good question. I think that sometimes when we've seen examples or we've read friends' essays, it feels like they have a dramatic moment, a sort of very big thing that happened, maybe a difficult thing that happened. And so it starts to feel like, gosh, if I don't have something like that, what will I write about? It doesn't need to be the most dramatic thing that's happened to you. It doesn't need to be a dramatic thing at all. I would encourage, instead of trying to think of a topic and trying to say, well, what moment in time or what event will I write about? Try to think about, what do I want to share about myself? I want to share that I'm a good friend. I want to share that I'm a really hard worker. I want to share that I care about animals. I want to share whatever might be right for you. And then see what stories you have to tell that illustrate those ideas about yourself. I think it's kind of a sort of upside down way of thinking about it, and goes to some of the brainstorming that Jess talked about. But it starts with the things you want to share, which is what we're really trying to learn. And I hope that helps you think not so much about a big event, and helps you think, well, I want to share these things, and here's a few different illustrations of this quality about myself or these characteristics. So hopefully that's helpful.
That's great, Becky. So starting with what you want to share about yourself, and then tell a story, give some examples. That's great advice to get folks started. Jillian, this next question is going to be for you. Angelina asks, when writing a college essay, do you write using facts, personal experiences, or both?
I think kind of like along the lines, like Becky said, do what's best for you. We want to get to know you. We want to know about you personally, whatever you're willing to share with us, because it does give your application a voice. And so if you have some personal facts and some stories that you can throw in too, I think that just makes your essay stronger.
Awesome. And when you think about actually like writing the essay and putting pen to paper, Gwendolyn asks, how do you get over writer's block? How do you choose what to truly write about? And Jess, I think this ties really well to some of your brainstorming tips. So what advice do you have for Gwendolyn?
Yeah, I love what Becky said about one way to start being, is there something that you really want to share about yourself? Especially if it's something that's not really coming across in other aspects of your application. So for example, let's say you do a lot of dancing after school. That might be something that's in your application, but what if there's something else that is so important to you that you want to share? Or what if there's some aspect of dance that you want to share about yourself? So that, I love that as one way to break through. But I also just love brainstorming in general as a place to start and to get over that kind of paralyzed feeling of, oh, I'm not sure what to say. Where you can just, make a list of everything that you do, that you've done. What are things you've done over the summer? What are some things you do after school? And look at the picture of that it's painting. And yeah, you can always use the Common App prompts as a jumping off point. And when you're brainstorming, try not to edit yourself, just set 10 minutes or 15 minutes and write everything down that you have to say in response to a prompt or in response to any of those questions that were in the first couple of slides. And don't edit yourself, don't judge yourself. First, just see what comes across. And another thing I'll add is that you may feel like, oh, I have a great topic, or, oh, I kind of want to explore this. Also, don't be afraid to just start writing. Sometimes you have to get into the writing process to actually see if it's a topic that you want to write about. So don't be afraid of false starts. Don't be afraid to try something out and be like, you know what? I actually don't feel like this is really reflective of me. I'm not feeling really all that excited or engaged in this. It's okay to then pivot to try something else. So yeah.
That's great advice, Jess. Great advice to get folks started. Just don't edit yourself. Just put it all on paper, get everything out from in here onto a piece of paper or onto a computer, and then go from there. So hopefully that's helpful, Gwendolyn. Our next question is going to be for you, Becky. This is from Chiron. Chiron wants to know, will a good essay make me a more promising applicant if the rest of my application, say, is average?
We always say in college admission, no one part of it's going to sort of get it done. You need a variety of different things. And I think how much the essay can help or hurt will depend largely on how selective the institution you're applying to. If you're applying to a less selective institution, like most colleges in this country, it's probably not, if you write an average essay, that will be fine. They're taking most of their students. They're very interested in students who have academic preparation like you have, you're good. If you're applying to highly selective places, even very well-prepared students are going to need very strong essays with, that show that they've put an effort in, that introduces themselves, that meet some of the needs of that college, because it's going to be very highly selective. So it kind of depends on where you're applying, how significant those qualitative pieces, how significant the role is for those. I don't think anything in an application will make up for an ill-prepared student that a college is really worried about academically, but certainly a more average student could be helped by really strong essay and strong things that they bring to the table.
That's great, Becky. And it's a great segue to this next question. And Jillian, this one is going to go to you. Patia C and a lot of students are asking a similar question. What can I include in my essay to help me stick out? And what do colleges really want to see?
We want to hear and see your voice. We want you to really speak to us. Tell us who you are. Tell us stories about you. Tell us, what you want us to know. It helps us to get to know you. When we're in a committee, like Nate mentioned, it helps us to kind of bring that story to life. So anything you can do to really paint the picture of who you are and what you would bring to our communities is something that we're really looking for.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jillian. And Nate, on the flip side of that, Muhammad has a good question here. Muhammad Z asks, what does an admission officer not want to see? What would not look good in a college application? I think that's a great question. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the vulnerability in asking it too, right? I think that's an important question. I think my answer to that is just remember that human beings are reading your college essay, and human beings, like every human being, has viewpoints on the world. And so if you lean heavily into a controversial viewpoint in the world, I think that's okay, but it also might struggle a little bit. So think about what you're looking for in a college. There are some colleges that faith is incredibly important to that college. And so if you write an essay about how you think faith is detrimental to society, that might not be one that might help the counselor realize, hey, this might not be a good fit for this student. We might not be setting them up well. So just remember that there's nothing specific. Like, we want to get to know you, and that's really, really important. But also understand that you are trying to put your best foot forward. And so if you lean into a hot button topic, the person reading that essay may or may not agree with you on that topic. And so that might be one to steer away from. Because I bet you are more than your opinion on reproductive rights, for example.
I'd love to add to that too. Totally agree with everything Nate said. And then, in general, I think negativity about other people or about yourself, or any kind of dismissive attitude, it's best to just avoid that in general. And also, I would say, don't tell someone else's story. So some of the prompts, like one of the Common App prompts, talk about people who've affected your life. And it's totally great to do that, but you just want to make sure that you're still the main character of your essay. I've seen essays before that were all about how great someone else was. And that doesn't really tell admissions officers a lot about you. And then kind of the last category that I like to tell students about things to avoid are just think about the kinds of things that a lot of people are going to be writing about. And it's not that necessarily you can't write about those things. It's that you really just want to make sure that you have something unique to say. So for example, the big game, like that big sports game that we played, those essays are pretty common. The COVID-19 pandemic, again, unless you have something really unique to say, that's something everybody went through. And so there are going to be a lot of essays on that topic. And yeah, experiences like that, where it's like, they're kind of universal as opposed to unique to you and revealing something unique about you, who you are good topics to kind of steer clear from, I think.
Awesome. Nate, Jess, great advice there. Choose something unique to you. Don't tell someone else's story as well. That's great advice. And I'm glad you chimed in, Jess, because we had a lot of other students who were asking similar questions. Madeline S., you asked a similar question. Pierre, you also asked about what not to include. So hopefully those two responses are helpful to you. Becky, this next question is going to go to you. And it's from Alessia. Alessia asks, how do I make a good hook for the college essay? Like, how do I really get their attention? And Iyasu had something similar too. How do I start? So tell us, like, what has hooked you in an essay, Becky?
I think it can be a lot of different things. It will depend obviously on what you're sharing in your essay, kind of what makes sense. But I think, students have done things with a little bit of humor or something that's like a little unexpected, or you start out sort of leading the reader one direction, and then by the end we'll realize we're in a different direction. Another thing I love to advise students to think about, it's not always right, is to see if your story could be told out of order. What if you started at the end of your story instead of telling it very linearly? What if you started with the end and said, and that's how I realized I was a drama geek, right? And then you sort of tell the story from there. So that can be kind of a fun thing to try out. So I think trying a few different things and seeing what ends up feeling like, this is me, this is my voice, this is how I would tell this story to my friends or my family.
Can I just add to that? That's such a good answer, and I love that. I am taking, and I hate to do this, I'm not a negative person, but almost a different approach. Like, and it goes to what some other questions, how not to start a college essay. I think we read a lot of college essays that start with a quote and then kind of go through that, right? That might not be the hook that you're looking for necessarily. And I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but the last couple of years has made me like excessive profanity in college essays are not. I've seen hooks there. So to answer the question from it, like, there's so many ways to grab attention that I don't think leaning on more cliche or stereotypical ways is necessary.
Great advice all around. Thanks everyone, and thanks for the question, Alessia and Iyasu. Our next question is going to go to you, Jillian. We're getting a little bit more technical here. Folks want to know like how to actually write. Sebastian wants to know, what kind of language do colleges want to see in my essay? For example, should I write how I speak? Should I use more formal language? Like, is it like an academic essay? It's a really good question, Sebastian Z. And we're seeing that a lot of other students are asking about this and tone as well. So Jillian, what do you think?
I think it's probably a little bit personal opinion. For me, I really want to get to know the student. And I think to do that, the student really has to write like themselves. We want to be able to hear you when you're speaking to us through the paper. And I think writing like yourself really allows us to get to know you.
Great. So write like yourself. I'm seeing some nodding. Does anyone else want to chime in? Do you agree, disagree? What do you think?
I definitely agree with that. I think the way that you feel most comfortable will end up sounding the best for you. And for some students, that is a more formal type of writing. For other students, it's very casual or more conversational sounding. But none of those should feel forced. Those should feel like those are easy for you to do. And I think just try some things out, and see and get some feedback from people who know you.
That's great. All right. It sounds like everyone agrees here. Like, write like how you sound. And I love that advice, Becky, too. Like, get feedback from others who know you, who know your voice, see if that really is kind of how you sound, right? Great question, Sebastian. Our next question is from a parent. Nate, this question's going to go to you. Adriana asks, my son doesn't have any idea what to write about, and I don't know how to help him. What advice do you have for Adriana as a parent?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think that Jess spoke to some of this. Like, my general rule on college essay is, like, if you're having a hard time writing about a thing, that is probably not the thing you're supposed to be writing about. That this is something that should flow. We have a lot of conversations in higher education about the difference between being unique and being distinct, and the fact that those are two different things, right? If you're searching for the thing that makes you unique, like one of one, that can feel a little bit daunting or more difficult, but there are definitely things that make you distinctly you. And so I would, as a parent, you're going to know your child well, right? You're going to know their idiosyncrasies and their passions and their hopes and their dreams. You're going to know maybe some of their annoyances that they shouldn't be writing about, right? You're going to know lots of things about your student. And so helping them find that piece. I love that idea. I think it was Becky who said it, that don't start with what your topic is going to be. Start with what you want the reader to know about you, because I think that is a really good way of starting the conversation.
That's great, Nate. And great question, Adriana. And as you're helping your student, as you're talking to your son, you can also point them to additional resources as well. One of which you can find on Big Future. So sharing my screen here, which you'll see in just a moment, but on Big Future, we have a page called Ultimate Guide to Writing Your College Essay. On this page, you'll find videos about, well, writing a strong college essay, avoiding common mistakes, formality. We just had a question about tone as well. You can also find some student stories about how other students have navigated the essay process, as well as other resources here, like tips for writing an effective college essay, and also 2 sample essays as well. So again, one, great job attending this event just to get some more advice on how to help your student. But just know that there are other resources out there that can help you and your student along the way. And I'll also pass it over to Jess to talk about some additional resources that folks can use out there. And one moment. Go for it, Jess.
Awesome. And just making sure my slide view is coming across here.
Yes, it is.
Great. Yeah. So we talked about some of Khan Academy's resources to help you get going, brainstorming, checking for problems, and as well as broader academic and career growth and navigating college admissions and financial aid. And we wanted to share too this QR code for signing up for Khanmigo. You can scan that or go to khanacademy.org/Khan-labs to sign up for Khanmigo and get access to some of those activities. I think they're really an excellent resource for helping students get started and thinking through all of these kinds of disparate elements of the admissions essay, like your content, the themes you want to explore, structure, and really kind of pulling it out of you what you want to say about yourself. I've seen students use it and be surprised with how much they actually have to say. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jess. So yeah, scan that QR code or go to khanacademy.org/Khan Khan-Labs, and again, other resources on Big Future. Lots of different places where you can find help writing the college essay. We know it's not easy. All right, let's go on to more questions here. Our next question is from Leslie M. Leslie wants to know, how are essays evaluated? Becky, can you take that one for us?
This is going to depend a little bit on the college that you're applying to, because each school might have a little bit of a different way of doing things. I think they're certainly going to be looking first and foremost, as we've been talking about, to learn about you. This is their introduction. If they've asked for the essay, it's because they want to learn about you. They're also getting a sample of your writing. They're getting to see, how you share the information, how it meshes with the other parts of the application to kind of paint the whole picture of you. So it's part of a whole, and it's really just one piece of it. In some cases, there are other pieces of writing. I know some of you asked questions about the why our college, or, to expand upon an activity. And so it also sort of interacts with those other pieces of writing that you've included as well. So there's a variety of different things. Some colleges have a very sort of rubric-based way of evaluating essays, things that they're looking to gain from the essay, to evaluate the writing, to learn about the student. Other schools, it's a little bit more qualitative, and they're just trying to get a sense overall. So that's not really something that you need to worry too much about. You won't change what you submit, but that's a little bit kind of a background of what happens once the application is submitted.
Awesome. Thanks, Becky, and thanks for the question, Leslie. Our next question is going to go to you, Jillian. Rokaba wants to know, what is the best time to start drafting college essays? What's the best time to start drafting them? And then I'll pair this with Ariane's question, which is, what advice do you have for freshmen? So 2 parts there for you, Jillian. What advice do you have for freshmen, and what is the best time to start drafting?
Sure. I think starting early is always a good way to get started on your essay. It gives you extra time to kind of look at it, look it over, make sure it's something that you're telling us that you want us to know. And in terms of advice for freshmen, I think enjoy high school. It's not, you don't have to worry about college for a few years. Enjoy it, have fun, take the classes that you're interested in, and don't worry about the college process yet.
Awesome. One other question I have for Nate. Nate, can you give us an example of a memorable, like your most memorable college essay question that you've read?
Yeah, that's a great one. Folks around me know that I'm really bad at answering with specificity. So I would say generally what the ones that stand out, it's really hard for me to pick a favorite, right? The ones that stand out are when I was able to get a sense of the student's personality and their hopes and their interests, right? So like when you can tell a story that doesn't just say I love soccer, but here is an example of where I grew as a team member and a leader because of this one story. So when you can be a little bit more specific with the story instead of broad with a topic, I think that that's helpful. But I mean, we were talking before, and before this started, and I was struck by the fact that Jillian, Becky, and I all work at 3 very different colleges in different parts of the country, and all 3 of us, when we were talking about favorite essays or essays that stood out, it wasn't that incredibly perfectly written essay. It was when we got to know a student, they made us laugh. They helped us understand a different perspective in the world. Like, so it's hard for me to pick a favorite. If I had to pick one, an essay about Santa, and it was very, very funny that the student was drawing you straight into the space where you thought she was discovering something about Santa's identity, and the joke came through that it was kind of her father kidnapped Santa and was pretending to be him, right? So it kind of like came all the way around. It made me chortle. It was just a wonderful thing.
Awesome. That's helpful, Nate. And I'm looking at the time now. I can't believe It's already been 40 minutes. I feel like it's flew by. Before we head out, I have one last question that I'm going to ask all of you to respond to. And that is, what is your number one tip that you want students to know about writing a great college essay? So if they leave this event, what is the one thing that you want them to know? What's your biggest tip? And we'll go down the line. Jillian, I'll start with you.
So I kind of have two. The first, again, is use your voice and make sure we get to know you. And the second one is proofread. Make sure you're proofreading your essay, because when we see errors, it's, we're always like, ooh, there's an error. So make sure you're proofreading. That's something that you can control.
That's great, Jillian. That was important. So we'll let you have two. We'll let you have two tips. Jess, what about you?
Yeah, so I already gave my one that I was going to say, which is about how writing is a process. Writing anything is a process. There are false starts. There are left turns. You might get into a draft and then throw it away and start over again. That's totally normal. This is a part of learning. This is part of writing. But then on top of that, to add to what Jillian said, I love to tell my students that every word should reveal something about you. And obviously, I don't mean literally every single word, but personal details and personality are like the salt and pepper of the admissions essay. Without it, it's a little bland. So, one example is I remember reading an essay where the student said something about how it was like something out of the fantasy books I love to read came to life. So they just kind of snuck in a little personal detail about them that the essay wasn't about fantasy books or fantasy anything, but it was just, it didn't feel forced. It fit right into the essay, but it was just a way to slip a little extra info about who they were and what they were into the essay. So as much as you can do that, the more your personality will jump out and the more memorable your essay will be.
That's great, Jess. Show your personality. I love it. Nate, what about you?
Yeah, I have a big overarching one and then a really specific one. The specific one, have somebody else read your essay too. Where I've seen some mistakes is students thinking that they were telling one type of story, and then when someone reads it, it reads very differently than what they thought that they were telling. So just have somebody else perspective take a look at it. And then the second one, and this is so important, students, you are enough. There is a college out there that wants you on their college campus. So don't worry about being somebody you're not just to get a acceptance into college. You're enough. So if you're uncomfortable saying, well, it's not my voice, I'm not good enough, that's baloney. You are enough. There are colleges out there that want you on their campus.
100%, Nate, 100%. And Becky, close us out.
I would say all of this has been such good advice. And I think proofreading it yourself, having feedback from people who know you well, who can say, yeah, I'm getting it from you. Also know when to stop. We need to write and we need to be willing to edit and change things, but we also need to know when to stop, when to say, I understand, Mom. I think I'm good. This really is what sounds like me. Or I appreciate you with the proofreading, English teacher, but I'm not really going to take some of these suggestions because it doesn't feel like it's me. So I really encourage students to feel confident in their own voice. We've talked about voice and tone, and know when the essay is done.
All really great advice. We have practical advice. We have advice on how to get started, broad advice. Some things we heard today: use your voice, definitely proofread, know when to stop, find ways to show your personality, get feedback, and of course, just know that you are enough and there is a school out there for you, a place there that you're going to find home. So huge thanks to, first of all, our audience for all the great questions, but then also our panelists here. Thanks for offering your insights and for helping students get through this process and making it a little bit easier. We really appreciate your time. And unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. We'd love to hear how today's session went. After the event closes, you'll be automatically directed to a feedback survey. Please complete that for us. It takes just a couple of minutes and it makes us helps us make future events even better. And be sure to join us next week as well for Gaming Week. You'll hear from experts at Xbox and Blizzard Entertainment and more about how to turn your passion for gaming into a future career. You can register for free, and you can watch the recording from this event and past events all at bigfuture.org/live. Thank you again, everyone. Really appreciate your time tonight, and have a wonderful night.